Wow, what a strange thing. This like black line on the screen. Anyway, I wanted to start with this view of Moon and Venus. Of course, the camera's not going to get too much. Oh wait, I can turn this around. That's better. Whew, I'm just moving from this beautiful location, which is the San Pablo Dam Reservoir. I guess even at the bottom of the screen you can see a little bit of moon reflecting on the water below. But this is where I came to start drinking this Moon-Venus conjunction at the Westquinox point. All right, well, come with me into the car where I can turn some light on. It's gonna be dark for just a bit here. We're gonna drive to our next location. It's 4 in the morning. Do you know where your astrologer is? Hopefully sleeping. But I was awakened by a dream. And for me, that's Moon and Venus saying, come be with us, come receive us. Oh, and so it is. Now what? Because I see Astral Omen says I got up to try and see, but it was cloudy here in Riverview, Florida. I think later today I'll get on and share some video that I just captured down at San Pablo Dam Reservoir. I am now fleeing before I'm captured and heading to a place where I'm allowed to be. Astral Omens, what a wonderful name. And what is the astral omen of this Moon-Venus conjunction, and how can we work with it? How is it reflected in the world without? And how can we work consciously with this opportunity, this energy within? So, I mean, there's so much image of balance in this particular Moon-Venus conjunction. First of all, it's the most beautiful thing you'll see. Moon conjunct Venus. And I guess, for the record, I should just say today is Thursday, Jupiter's Day, November 9th, 2023. It's 4:40 a.m. where I am in San Pablo, California, in the Bay Area. Driving right now to El Sobrante, to another one of my morning star spots. So Moon, you know, obviously next to Sun is the brightest being of our sky. And then comes Venus. And the Moon-Venus conjunctions are just the most beautiful thing to behold. Venus is always close to Sun, sometimes so close that we can't see her. The furthest she gets is about 48 degrees. Brightest when 40. She's closer than that now. That happened in late October, but we're pretty close to that date. The maximum elongation, was October 23rd, in this particular cycle, like 46 degrees. And I'm getting too technical. The point of the thing is, Venus is always close to Sun, so when you see Moon conjoin Venus, that means Moon is close to Sun, and that means crescent moon. Right? So with the morning star Venus as it is right now, the waning crescent. Venus actually, from the way that I work with the cycle, and most of us do, and the beginning half of her cycle is morning star, and Moon in the very late part of her cycle, the lunation for Moon. In this way, we'll always have her heliacal setting when she goes under the beams of the Sun every month in the eastern sky, and then is reborn a few days later in the west. It's a very magical and important thing about what Moon does. Venus as morning star descends, and I spoke about that last week some on Venus's day on Friday. I was fact checked because I said words that sound something like Lucy in the sky in fur, an old Latin name for morning star Venus. And fallen angel, Venus as a morning star, falls day by day towards the light of the sun, where she will disappear. And every month moon comes to join her and to teach her and maybe soothe her and encourage her and say, hey, it's okay to fall into the fire of the sun. I do it every month. And I return refreshed. And Venus might say, yeah, but you only disappear for like 2 or 3 days. I disappear for 2 or 3 months. Anyway, Venus won't disappear for many moons from now. She's still quite far from the sun. And on her way into the beams of the sun, into this underworld, into this cave, Moon will meet her visibly 7 times, sometimes 8. But Daniel Jamario, who was my first teacher at the Shamanic Astrology Mystery School, saw a correlation there. And maybe this came from an astronomer named Clyde Hostetler, something mentioned in his book called Star Trek to Hawaii, which is a really cool book besides the obligatory astronomer's phrase about how astrology is fake. It's like one line in the middle of like out of context nowhere in the text. Anyway, relating these moon-Venus conjunctions to the moon gates, well, as we call them in this tradition, these gates that Inanna, Queen of Heaven and Earth, Inanna, which was the Sumerian name for Venus, and this oldest tale that we know of, oldest tale written or chiseled in stone, the descent of Inanna into the underworld Kur of her sister Ereshkigal. And then the return from that underworld. And on the way down, Inanna is forced to pass through 7 gates, and at each of these gates, one of her adornments is taken from her. At the first gate on the way down, the crown, and then the earrings at the second gate, though I like to say the bindi because it feels so much more related to third eye chakra. At this third gate, the double-stranded lapis lazuli necklace, you feel that blue at the throat chakra. And then will be the golden breastplate, you'll see the heart chakra. Finally, the red robe at the 7th gate. And so these very clearly seem to relate to these 7 energetic systems honored in this place, India, further east from Babylon, Mesopotamia, Sumer, where the story of Inanna's descent hails from. So in the Shamanic Astrology Mystery School practice, Daniel's school, now the Turning of the Ages Mystery School, Kaylin Costello, who was another teacher of mine at Shamanic Astrology Mystery School, is now at Venus Alchemy and really working and bringing people through this cycle with Sheridan Semple. We work with this third moon-Venus conjunction since Venus stationed direct as the throat chakra gate. And the idea is, how can we release as we descend through these energetic centers, about 1 per month indicated astronomically by moon-Venus conjunctions? How, in this case, for this month ahead, can we release the clutter that's keeping us from speaking truth? And do you feel how like Libra this is? Because so often we choose not to speak because we do not want to offend. or we are afraid to expose how out of balance we are. You know, we try to keep the peace, but in doing so, we sacrifice our own harmony, right? So often in relationship. And I think I'm on the wrong road, but I'm gonna just see it through. Where am I? I would love to make eyes with you right now, but you know, let's be safe. So, having just spent deep time at the reservoir with Moon and Venus, I really wanted to be with them in the water as I worked with this Moon-Venus conjunction in Libra to pray for peace within and without. And I've been up since 3 a.m. and was down there just working the sky. You know, if I lived alone, I would now drive home and either sleep for a bit or maybe make beauty with the video I just recorded out there, add some music, do the things that I do. I don't know where I am, but it's not where I want to be. So I could share it with you in its most beautiful form. It takes a lot of time to take the video and put the music on and, you know, edit and all that stuff. But it's something I love to do, to share. So if I lived alone, I'd probably drive home and do that right now. But I don't. And my partner is sleeping, I hope, soundly. You know, if even I lived with my partner and not with a dog, who is certainly going to have her peace disturbed if she hears the garage door and bark and wake up the world, then maybe I'd go home right now. And frankly, if I went home right now and pee and slept, like, I could enter some of the peace I was just praying for. But I want to be considerate. And so I'll babble on this thing and talk about my experience and my prayers and intention for this Moon-Venus conjunction as I drive to a place that I currently can't find. Where am I? Let's try this. And go to another spot. Because why not stay out and wait for Spica to rise and see Moon and Venus, who I just made eyes with between Zavi, Java, and Zanaya, and let's speak the shaft of wheat rising, this deep priestess star. It's a very important star in many zodiacs, and I want to speak about that in just a second here. Oh, this is my turn. Huh, I just learned a thing. And I would love to have stayed where I was, but you kind of have to jump a gate. Last time I was there, I had a conversation that told me I would be fined so much if I was found there again, even if I'm only there to take pictures. So, all right. I will disappear before anyone else arrives. Nobody's up at 4 in the morning receiving Moon and Venus reflected off the water of a man-made reservoir. And man made the gate. And man made the fucking wars that my taxes are paying for. So I'm very much not at peace. And I'm trying to clean up what I say, even to myself. It's a very important truth that all my students hear me say frequently. Know what to say. Know what not to say. But know what not to say. For some things must be said. Consider who you are speaking with and listening with. And we want these things in balance. 2 ears and 1 mouth. Balance, Libra, harmony. So I'm climbing up a place where I'm allowed to be. Sadly, I'll be hanging out next to a cell phone tower. And this is an experiment to see if the parking lot's open. I believe it will not be. Oh, it is. Great. So I don't have to park in front of someone's house and potentially creep them out. And there's a genie here. But I'm talking about like a mechanical lift. Not somebody that will let me grant 3 wishes. If I could, the first would be for peace. Probably any day I was allowed to rub that lamp, the first wish would be for peace. Harmony, balance. Somebody, and it wasn't me, left the garage door open last night. So when I crept into this car at 3-something in the morning, the garage was incredibly cold. The house was not. Because of this thin door. This just thin piece of wood. So many people do not have that thin piece of wood. And so, harmony, equality, balance, peace. What can I do to offer more of this to the world? One thing I know I can do is work on my inner balance and peace, and also to live in a state of conscious gratitude for the things I have, the opportunities I have, for the thin door that keeps the cold out, for the truth that I live in a place where though a garage door was open all night with stuff, including a car with the keys in it, we should probably change that practice. So someone could have just driven away with this. None of that happened. So how do we find harmony, peace, balance now? Why is Libra balance? Now, star-based zodiacs will say because that's where the scales are in the heavens. You know, the scales are a new constellation. The Greeks originally called these stars Zubin Shamali and Zubin Janubi. It's like the best star names, right? They're Arabic names, by the way. And they mean the northern and southern claws, respectively. Because it was once seen that the claw stars, well, they were the claw stars of the scorpion. It was much bigger. Then for a time, the scorpion held the scales. But why the scales at all? In this zodiac, right? Lions and scorpions and bulls and rams and goats with fishtails. Archers, but with the horses back. Animals, even the humans, the priestess and the water bearer. Why the scales, the one inanimate object of the zodiac? Well, it's the newest one of the 12. And the reason why is at the time when the scale stars were defined, the equinox point resided there. The Westquinox point. Why do I call it that? Well, I will share. Now, in tropical astrology, Earth astronomy, things seem very out of whack. I'm looking at this Moon-Venus conjunction in Libra. Okay, but they're right beneath the celestial lion. And in the stars of the priestess's head. Now, I use these words lion instead of Leo and priestess instead of Virgo because constellations and signs are very different things. Signs are equal divisions of space. Constellations vary significantly in size. The demure priestess, 47 degrees of arc. That's more than a sign and a half. So no equal sign zodiac, be it star-based or celestial or earth-based terrestrial, can align precisely with the stars. At all. Like not even kind of. So let me talk about two different methods of zodiacal creation. Why 12 signs at all? Creation creates its 12s. Perhaps because the reason why many of these things were first defined was the human need to keep time. Why do we need to keep time? To survive. Why do we even experience time? To grow. That's why we incarnate in the place with the appearance of time and space. That, by the way, is why tension, discord. All right, so one version of zodiac is, okay, we want 12 equal divisions. The path of the sun, and for the most part the planets, because the solar system is relatively flat. We start with the moon because we can actually see moon traveling through the stars. This can't be done with sun. But we learn to understand that the sun is traveling on this circle of our sky. This is called the ecliptic. It's the plane, I call it the circle of spirit. It's the plane of the Earth-Sun relationship. And the sun travels through the backdrop of these stars, these special stars, these ecliptic stars, these zodiac stars. So one method, and it's called sidereal, star-based, is you pick a star and you say, I'm going to start there and I'm going to divide the thing into 12. Now, one of the reasons why I'm so excited to watch Speaker Rise, since I can't go home and sleep, because I'm considerate sometimes. And hopefully the more considerate I am, the more considerate of a world I will reside within. You want to receive fair treatment, treat others fairly, you know? Anyway, many astrologers work with zodiacs that are defined by aligning 0 Libra with Spica, or Chitra, as it's known in India, the shaft of wheat that the priestess of the heavens holds. Now, the astronomers call that star Alpha Virgo. So when sidereal astrologers attack me by saying that my tropical signs don't align to the constellations, the quick response is, well, why do you define your sidereal zodiac in such a way that 0 Libra is aligned to Alpha Virgo? Well, it's even harder in the tropical zodiac because that star they call Alpha Virgo is at 24 tropical Libra in our day and age. And this changes with Earth's third motion axial precession, the great year of 26,000 years. And it's too long of a trip for now, but I just want to say that what the tropical zodiac is, and something that Moon and Venus are calling us to experience and explore right now, is it's based on Earth's rotational axis, which defines the cardinal directions. It's like so many sacred systems of ancient wisdom traditions, the tropical zodiac is directionally aligned. In fact, it is directionally defined. The cusps of the cardinal signs are Earth's cardinal directions, as defined by our spine, our sword of our stone, the world tree, our rotational axis, the axis of the day. Now, there's a global point that's exactly east of the center of the Earth, and that's 0 Aries. Where I am right now, it just set in the west, right? So when you're on the surface of Earth, your experience is that you're going to spin through every day, every tropical day, you're going to spin through maybe it's every sidereal day. No, every tropical day. You're going to spin through Earth's tropical directions. Tropical name for tropicos, the turnarounds. And I want to like depart from that now, but I'll just say this. 0 Libra is a point. 0 tropical Libra is the west point. It is due west of the center of Earth. This, by the way, is why the Libra glyph looks like a setting sun, the ultimate image of the West. But where I reside, that west point has just risen. And it will later set, right? And Moon and Venus are gathered at this place right now where the ecliptic, the plane of the year, the circle of spirit, for that's where the sun lives, crosses the equator, the plane of day, the circle of matter, for it's all about Earth. Spirit and matter come together at the equinox points. 1 Aries is east of Earth, beginnings, risings. 1 Libra is west of the center of Earth, restings. 1 Aries is where the circle of spirit norths across the equator and then brings us into northern signs, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, to the northern extreme, the north point, 0 Cancer. And then northern signs, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, bringing us back to the crossing, the cross, the west point, Libra. And then we enter southern signs, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, which goes south to the southern extreme, the Tropic of Capricorn. And then southern signs, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, which bring us back to the crossing. So there's north and south. The tropical zodiac, like so many wisdom, tradition, sacred systems, is directionally aligned. It is directionally defined. And an amazing truth is that Moon is not compelled to travel the same circle as the sun. She has her own. Moon's path crosses the sun's path at the lunar nodes. And by the way, if you head to geminibrett.com/nodes, you will be redirected to a place where you can register for free for a talk I will be having later today, Thursday, November 9th, 2023 at 2 p.m. Pacific with Yulia Simas of the Cosmic Intelligence Agency and Luis Rubero about northern versus southern hemisphere tropical astrology. Do we need to reverse things? And we'll be working with the lunar nodes and our observational experience of the lunar nodes, which is opposite in the northern hemisphere versus the southern hemisphere experience, to discuss whether or not the tropical zodiac is a global phenomena. By the way, punchline, it fucking is. And I'll be describing and proving astronomically exactly why. Now, speaking of balance, like Moon and Venus just met at this first degree of Libra, which is where we begin south, right? The Libra point is a point where the zodiac starts going south of the equator, like literally, right? Not symbolically, right? And it's not arbitrary. With sidereal cosmology, like which star should you choose? And there's a great debate, by the way. With tropical astrology, there is no debate. There's nothing arbitrary. It is literally defined by Gaia's spine, the sword of our stone, the rotational axis, the world tree. And it's very clear and beautiful and elegant astronomy. So if folks tell you that the tropical zodiac is not astronomical, send them over here for a debate. I like literally have dreams about sitting on stage with rational astronomers to, at least as I have done with many astronomers one-to-one, prove to them the very clear astronomy of the Earth Sun zodiac, the tropical zodiac, really the Earth zodiac. That's not going to prove to them that as above, so below and correspondences is true. Like, how could I do that? But at least I can show them that this straw man argument that the tropical zodiac is fake because the signs and constellations don't align is fucking ridiculous. By the way, can you feel how out of balance I am? Can you feel how charged and biased I am? So maybe I should go pray for peace within and just release and not feel the need. But gosh, I receive messages every day. And I love teaching folks who themselves are consistently attacked by working with the zodiac that the scientists say is fake, and many astrologers do too, and throw this Ophiuchus sign at them. What? Like, let me show you what it is, why it is. And by the way, if you really want to understand the mystery of the 12, get a compass in your hand and also learn something about harmony, and I mean musical harmony and harmonics and vibration. And you will clearly understand that creation creates in 12s. So a 12 sign zodiac, but where do you align it? How about with Gaia's spine? How about with the cardinal directions? And over time, this was done, not by all. And, you know, I want to honor all traditions. It's easier to when practitioners of those traditions also honor mine. But why should I choose to fight back? Why not turn the other cheek and just chill? You know, so maybe I should go pray for that. Because there is discord, there is imbalance. Why should I dream of debating? That's a nightmare. I mean, not in my experience of it, but it's a nightmare that I experience that as some beautiful thing. And you know what? There's bigger fish to fry, or fish to free. One of the reasons why I wanted to see this Moon-Venus conjunction at the reservoir is just to feel the water. These early degrees of Libra are Antisha or Antiskia, Skia, Greek for shadow. The late degrees of Pisces. And Moon, shortly after this conjunction with Venus, will now parallel Pisces Neptune. And Venus soon will as well. A little bit longer than the Antiskia or Antisha would suggest, because Moon and Venus now are both in northern latitude, celestial latitude, meaning they're north of where the sun would be when passing through these ecliptic degrees, north of the zodiac degree that we project them to. And amazingly, this is the zodiac degree that goes south, that takes us south. So Moon and Venus met at a southern degree, a point that's just slightly south of Earth's equator, in the celestial equator as we see it in the sky. But because of Moon and Venus's northern latitude, they're at this southern degree, but north of the equator, really showing us and giving us an opportunity for balance. And I will probably start the astronomy expression teaching that I will offer in this this conversation with Julia Simas in the Southern Hemisphere in Australia and Melbourne, and Luis Ribeiro in the Northern Hemisphere in Portugal. I mean, I don't know exactly where in Portugal Luis lives. I'm so excited to meet him. I very much honor his work and his work with Elena Avalar, his wife. Who, speaking of peace, may her soul rest peacefully. Anyway, I've been a fan of Luis's work for a long time. I haven't gotten to spend time in conversation with him yet, and I'm really excited to do so and to share that with y'all. And Luis is in Portugal, which is just about as far north of the equator as I am here in Richmond, California. And Julia in Melbourne, Australia is exactly that far south of the equator. So it's a really fun time to be speaking about northern and southern signs and finding the balance and how do we experience them different locally on the surface of Earth, just as we do in seasonal opposition. Right? For me, it's fall. For Julia, it's spring. The sun is falling in the sky every day. For her, it's springing up. You know, by the way, it's not just about leaves and flowers. But why is this global? And I will share that with you. And it has a lot to do with the direction of Earth's travel through the heavens. So I'll bring you some simple experiences like sitting on a train and watching people walk back and forth in the car. But I'll also probably share, hopefully, some video that I took this morning down at the reservoir of Moon and Venus meeting at this southern degree, but still north. I think we just got the cue that it's time for me to leave this car and do my thing. Hey, if it's nighttime where you are and clouds allow, get outside and receive the beauty of this Moon-Venus conjunction. If it's daytime, Venus can be seen in the daytime sky, and no better time to try to make eyes with this goddess of the night in the daylight than during a Moon-Venus conjunction. Just look to the moon's crescent right now, and her horns are kind of pointed up towards Venus. They would be, by the way, pointed exactly towards Venus if Moon and Venus traveled exactly on the ecliptic, but they don't. They have nodes too. And so my conversation later today with Julia Simas and Luis Ribeiro at the Cosmic Intelligence Agency will be about the lunar nodes, but this applies to all nodes and to all things and to all beings. So I hope you'll join me there again, GeminiBrett.com/nodes. If you'd like to join us for free, that will take you to the registration page to be with us at Zoom video. There'll be Q&A and all that. So November 9th, Thursday, 2023, 2 p.m. Pacific. It will be November 10th, Venus's Day, Friday in Australia, as far as the current calendar situation deems. Yeah? And I believe if you register, you'll receive a recording if you can't make it live. I'm not sure if that's true, though. So I'm just reading from Sadvi Jen. And sorry I missed some of your comments before, y'all. That I can never say this word, Phaladipika is a Vedic text from the 1300s, and even there is tropical astrology being described. 1300s AD or BC, Jen? Yeah, look, I mean, the oldest so-called Western astrology zodiac that we're aware of comes out of Babylon, the Mula Pin. Not to say that Vedic astrology wasn't happening just as far back, and in China too, like lunar mansions, star-based experience of the moon traveling through the stars, because this is something we can witness. But in the Mula Pin, which many suggest is like the first zodiac, and it's debatable, all right? It's 18 or 19 signs and yada, yada, yada. But it's very much star-based. However, even there in Mula Pin, they're tracking the shadow length of the gnomon. That's a sundial. And that's a tropical thing. It has nothing to do with the stars besides the star of ours, the sun, taking us through the tropical experience seasons, which is so important if you like things like food, right? Now, sidereal year and tropical year are very close to one another. But over great periods of time, you can very clearly see their difference. Hence the debate. Yeah, I mean, really what it comes down to is what is time? Speaking of shadow lengths, this is the whole root of antiskia. When the sun is at 2 Libra, he casts the same shadow length at midday as he does when at 28 Pisces. They're both 2 degrees south of the equator. And you can't do things like antiskia in a sidereal zodiac without first converting to tropical zodiac. You can't do straight and crooked signs or signs of long and short ascension in a sidereal zodiac without first converting to tropical zodiac. You can't do parallels. Well, you can. You just look at declination. But it's a clear result of tropical placement and has nothing to do with sidereal. There's so much astronomy that is exclusive to the tropical zodiac. The only thing astronomical that sidereal or star-based zodiacs offer that tropical zodiac doesn't is star alignments, which are very important and beautiful. Like, I have to know that when I see Venus with Zabi Java, that Zabi Java is at 27.5 degrees tropical Virgo for me to understand it. That's showing me where Venus is in the zodiac. I'm about to go see Spica. If I can shut up. And Spica's at 24 tropical Libra, and I need to know that for when I see Moon Spica tomorrow, that this is Moon at 24 Libra, right? Well, for some people, Spica's 0 Libra. So in a sense, call it what you will, but once you learn where to map the zodiac to the stars, then you can watch planets travel through the stars and understand where they are in the zodiac. Jen, 12 signs, but what if one sign is 2 half signs? A representation of 2 and 1, Scorpio, Ophiuchus. Why would it only be that one? Why wouldn't every sign be 2 half signs? In fact, in the old divisional systems, in many astrologies, but especially Vedic astrology, like the horas, which by the way is a Greek word, 15 degrees of each sign. The half divisions, half degrees as well. So why would Scorpio be the only half sign and have Ophiuchus? There's one star of Ophiuchus that's near the ecliptic. And by the way, Ophiuchus is amazing and beautiful and awesome, and I love him. He's like healer, the serpent tender. In our day and age, in the Northern Hemisphere experience, he stands on the lowest point of the zodiac, reaching up to the heavens. So beautiful, just not a sign. So, I mean, people will do this with Scorpio, like it's the eagle, the scorpion, and the serpent, and then try to put the serpent thing on Ophiuchus. Well, when do you ever see serpent representing heavenly? No, like look at the world tree, the serpent's at the roots. Look at the story of Inanna. The serpent's at the roots of the hulupu tree, the anzu bird in the branches, right? So if you were even trying to project like Scorpion is like middle world, serpent is lower world, and eagle is upper world, why would you put the serpent like high? Maybe to find some kind of balance. A lot of people are trying to, I feel like, force this Ophiuchus thing in. But that's just my feelings, and my feelings are like a little out of bounds around it. What I love about Ophiuchus, and what's long been honored about Ophiuchus, who, by the way, never in any ancient record in India and Babylon and China or anywhere we know was ever considered part of the zodiac, ever. All right, correct me if I'm wrong, show me the text, all right? But I've been looking. You will never ever see Ophiuchus honored at some kind of zodiac constellation until like 1930 by the International Astronomical Union, who hates astrology and publicly speaks about this. So here's Lady Melody reads the classics, who is awesome, saying Ophiuchus is a fundamentally different kind of beast. It marks the emergence of a new level of the game. Okay, maybe. And some argue for that. But for me, it's marking a level of the game that forgot. Put a compass in your hand and you will quickly, intuitively draw the seed of life, which 12s through 2 6s, around 1. That around 1 is the 13th. I could draw for you a perfect 12 sign zodiac in about 8 seconds. Well, you know what? About half a minute. Perfect. I could never, ever draw you a 13 sign zodiac. I couldn't draw a 13-pointed star. It's impossible. It's beautiful, but you can't draw a regular 13-pointed star, and you certainly can't draw an irregular one. So for me, Ophiuchus is this sad, not Ophiuchus the constellation, who is beautiful, but Ophiuchus, the idea of Ophiuchus as some 13th sign. It's the sad result of two things. One, astronomers who forgot the sacred nature of the sky, who don't believe in correspondences, and therefore why even understand the tradition and where we're coming from and just make up some history. That's what NASA's doing, and JPL and the IAU around Ophiuchus, by the way. And they're not spending much time with it. But there was an article at NASA's Space Place, their page for kids, that tells us that the Babylonian astrologers just decided to take Ophiuchus off of the 13 zodiac constellations. Like, what? There's no record of that. So just invent a story, right? So one thing where I feel this is the result of like the sad forgetting of the mystical and sacred nature of the sky. The second thing is astrologers who, unlike was the way always in the tradition, don't study number in time, which is frequency and harmony. Don't study number in space, which is geometry. And don't understand like the challenges of calendar calisthenics. So I'm obviously crazy biased about it and out of balanced. Let me tell you what I love about Ophiuchus. Ophiuchus stands on the galactic center. The arrow of the archer, the tail of the scorpion, and the foot of Ophiuchus triangulate galactic center. And we can see images from ancient Babylon. The work here, in my opinion, to see is Galactic Alignment by John Major Jenkins. May his soul rest or journey wherever John is now. It's got to be cool. Galactic Alignment by John Major Jenkins is a text that every star student and mystic, I feel, should read. Anyway, I love speaking about these things, and I'm very opinionated. Because part of it is like the challenges I face, as all tropical astrologers do, like how the heck is that Moon Venus thing Libra if my astronomy app shows them aligned to the head of Virgo, right? Some of what I'll share about the nodes, and Yulia's just having this discovery about the lunar nodes, which is like mind shattering, and it really challenges the tropical astrologer in a way that it doesn't the sidereal astrologer, by the way, or a constellational astrologer. I don't know. Like, I have a hard time even going there. As though I love constellations, I always bring constellations into my work with clients. Stars, parans, parallels. It's a huge part of my work. And I love the stories of the stars and from many lands. And I'm always open, hearing, listening, trying to talk, right? So when I love Ophiuchus. I just am so, like, I almost vomit when I hear people trying to tell me why Ophiuchus is a sign and it's like the new paradigm. Oh, it's like so many of these new paradigms that are taking us like so far from the ancient roots. And they're breaking a beautiful thing, in my opinion. But maybe I'm just trying to hold on to something that shouldn't persist. I don't believe so. All right, so I'm going to go pray with these cats about helping me find some peace within so I can offer more peace without. What if I could teach these things from like a place of clear, loving, accepting consciousness instead of reactive? Right? What if I can bring the scales instead of the sword? But there's a reason why she holds them both. Thanks for spending time with me, y'all. Bless your hearts. May this beautiful, celestial energy come through each and every one of us in our terrestrial experience. Balance, harmony, love. Working on it.